Hey, welcome everyone. It's a Monday. Thanks for joining me today. And yes, I want to talk about the not all people. You know what I'm talking about. Ones that, when you make a generalization, they feel the need to chime in with the not all, as though they're the exception police. Like I could say, all Californians love avocados, or someone will be like, not all Californians love avocados. Yeah, thanks for your contribution. We all know that. Look, I get it. Not everyone fits into a neat little category. There's always exceptions to the rule. That's why we have the expression, exception to the rule, okay? But sometimes those exceptions are so small, they don't even matter. I mean, if I say all babies are cute, someone says, well, not all babies are cute. What's the point? What's the point? Are we really having this debate about the cuteness of babies? I mean, the truth is, folks, generalizations are just that. They're just generalizations. They're not to be taken as the absolute truth. It's just a way to try to make sense of the world around us. So to all you not all people out there, I hear you. I acknowledge there's exceptions to the rule. But sometimes it's okay to just let a generalization be a generalization. You don't need to nitpick every little detail. That's the thing about generalizations. They imply an exception. It's like saying all Hollywood actors are narcissists, and then you remember Keanu Reeves, right? Humble, generous. Not all. Okay, but sometimes the exceptions to the rule are so rare, they become legendary, like a Bigfoot sighting or a good Adam Sandler film, right? But generalizations, they're like GPS. They get you where you need to go, but sometimes you can get a little off course. We should all recognize that our initial generalization is not some universal truth, but rather a tendency that is generally true. So next time you hear somebody say, the media just repeats State Department talking points, or woke college kids are all naive, remember, there are exceptions to those generalizations. And if you're one of those not all people, just remember that sometimes it's okay to let a generalization be a generalization. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee and Nuance Show, the best censored commentary and news show live right now. Flame on. Yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me. And I like this idea of exceptions and not all. And I find it so unhelpful to have to, if you're having a conversation with someone, to always have to present something in such a way, like you're talking about homeless or something. And for every time you mention homeless, you have to say, well, I'm not talking about all the homeless people. I'm talking about the homeless people that are chronically homeless, that happen to be addicted to drugs and are living on the street and are involved in street crime. And then a sentence later, you want to refer to those people again, and you refer to them as the homeless, and they go, whoa, not all. Yeah, I get it. You're stifling conversation. You make it harder for people to communicate. And in 2023, we don't need it harder to communicate. We need it easier to communicate. So give people a break. A generalization, you can't have a generalization without an exception. That's what makes it a generalization. Otherwise, it would be some absolute truth, right? And if someone says the absolute truth that 100% of this is, then you can say not all. But otherwise, it gets old. It gets old. Now, what can you do? What are some strategies for if people keep interrupting you and telling you that, not all popsicles from Mexico have fruit. Some of them have a different flavor. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Most of them have a fruit flavor. That's the way they make them. Clearly, there are exceptions. There are always exceptions. But one thing that I think could be helpful is if someone jumps in and says, hashtag not all to something you're saying, you can just say, hold on, I want to double check. I want to check, I want to make sure I understand you correctly. Are you telling me that there's an exception to a generalization? And then if they say yes, say, oh, thank you. That is very helpful to point out that there's exceptions to generalizations. And I think that just by restating what they're doing, that could let everyone in the group know that they don't need to say not all every single time you're talking about something. But whatever, that's just what I was thinking about on this Monday morning. Let's get into the stories that we have today. I want to talk about the Estonian election. Apparently there's a country called Estonia, right? Who knew? I also want to mention what happened in Cop City down near Atlanta. Heroin in Paradise. This is a big problem that has come about in a place that I used to live, and I want to tell you about that. And lastly, I want to hit on the Swissness Rules that have made some changes to a candy bar that you may know. So let's get into the first story about the Estonian election. And Estonia is kind of cold, so let's go with this interstitial. All right. We're talking about Estonia here. And they had an election. How about that? The center-right Reform Party, led by Prime Minister Kaja Kallas, won a decisive victory in Estonia's parliamentary elections. With nearly all votes counted, the party had 31.4% of the vote, followed by the far-right populist EKRE party with 16%, and the center party with 15%. Kallas, who's a strong supporter of Ukraine, is expected to continue her pro-Western, pro-European policies. Over 900,000 people were eligible to vote in the election, and nearly half voted in advance. So we know that all those votes are totally on the up and up, because as we've learned on this channel, all presidential elections are on the up and up. No exceptions. Hashtag not all. But do you know where Estonia is? I will show you on this globe, and then you won't be able to see it, and then I'll show you where else it is. But if we look here, we've got Europe, we've got Russia, and right next to Finland, just south of Finland, across the Strait of Finland, I think it's called, is Estonia. Right there. So you can't really tell on this globe, but that's not it. This I went the wrong direction on my graphic. This is a Japanese J-pop pop band called Not All. Good graphic. Thought that was funny. But the Estonian election. So Estonia is right there. So if you go up to Finland and you go just to the east, just across, you will see Estonia. This picture is kind of turned sideways because this is up near the top of the globe there. If you're ever to take the Trans-Siberian Railroad, you would go from Finland, from Helsinki, up around, and then across the land bridge there to St. Petersburg. But now, currently, there's no trains going from Finland to Moscow anymore. They've closed those, but the standard train will go. Will take a ferry across to Estonia and then straight across to Russia, usually. So now you know how close Estonia is to Russia. It's right on the border of Russia, and the leader there is full-on anti-Russia and pro-NATO, and that will continue because she was reelected, so that those policies will continue in Estonia. It's a small country. I can see them being scared with war all around them. So that's what's happening in Estonia. And here's a little picture of, you're like, what does Estonia look like? Well, there you go. That's what a postcard would look like if we still have postcards today. But I don't know that we do have postcards anymore. When was the last time you sent a postcard? Hey, and one question that I have about Estonia for you. Have you ever been? Has anyone been to Estonia? And then when we get into, if you've been to Estonia, but it wasn't Estonia yet, like if you were in Estonia while it was the Soviet Union, have you visited Estonia? Or could you just say that you visited those cities? I don't know. It's an interesting question. You know, a lot of people say, I've been to this many countries. And, you know, sometimes countries change. Soviet Union fell apart. Yugoslavia, right, became 7 different countries. It split apart. When I went to Yugoslavia, it was one country. But now it's, you know, Slovenia and Bosnia and Bosnia-Herzegovina, and, you know, all the different countries there. Did I go to those individual countries if they weren't named at the time? I don't know. It's an interesting question, but let me know what you think in the comments. Let's get to another story, shall we? And this is about Cop City. Fires broke out at a construction site for a police and fire training center in Atlanta following clashes between police and protesters. Demonstrators have been opposing the development of the forested area where the center is being built, citing concerns over the militarization of police and the loss of green space. The event on Sunday began as a music festival but turned violent when agitators reportedly threw bricks, rocks, Molotov cocktails, and fireworks at officers. The police arrested 35 people, and heavy smoke was seen for miles. Opponents of the site have been organizing events and protests, with more planned in the coming days. The January protest at the site also turned violent, with a police car being set on fire and windows and buildings smashed. So this was the full-on, black bloc, Antifa style of protest that went on there. Destruction. They don't want cops to be trained, apparently. Training cops to, not beat people up or to how to restrain people better. These organizers, these protesters, they don't want that. And I challenge the people of the left in Atlanta. You need to stand up and say that this is not good. The city can build a city facility if the city wants to do that. Destroying it just costs everybody more money, with the exception of these protesters, because a lot of them don't have jobs and are often supported by their parents. Often they're rich kids that are doing these protests. Rich kids and homeless. That tends to be the generalization about that group. But again, we've had a violent protest with lots of property damage and violence against other Americans. Not a good thing. I don't know who is in favor of these kind of tactics, but that's not where I want to live. We had in the 2020 here in Portland, we had like 100 days, 100 nights in a row of this kind of nonsense where they were starting fires and breaking stuff. I don't like it. And I suspect most people in Atlanta don't like it either. But that's the story. Just give you an update on that. Let's get to our last story today. And we are talking about the Seychelles. This is a country with a 5-star luxury branding. It's facing an epidemic of heroin addiction. It's estimated that 10% of the Seychelles population is addicted to heroin. And the Montagne Passy prison, the main correctional facility in the country, reflects the situation. The prison is not fit for the purpose, and corruption is prevalent here. The flow of heroin into the cells is continuous, and Tanzanian guards are rotated onto the staff in an attempt to stem it. The conditions of the prison are cramped and offer little privacy, and Class A narcotics flow through these cells. The heroin addiction epidemic in Seychelles is destroying families and leaving the country without a workforce. And this is really heartbreaking for me. I will show you where the Seychelles is on the globe. We go to Africa here. We've got the Indian Ocean right here. And if we go just below the equator, we will have Kenya. And you can look at around Nairobi, Mombasa, right here in Kenya. And you just go about 2 inches across on your globe, and you will see the Seychelles north of Madagascar here in the middle of the Indian Ocean. You can see right here, the Seychelles is off, like right on the side there. But it is north of Madagascar, east of Kenya, east of Tanzania. Beautiful little island country. You may have seen, this is what it really looks like there. It's very small, less than 100,000 people. And it's crushing to me. I lived there in the 90s. And it's crushing to me that 10% of the people are hooked on heroin. That is devastating to such a small country. When I lived there in the mid-90s, there were no drugs at all. There wasn't even marijuana. The government at the time was very strict on allowing drugs into the country, and even one marijuana joint would land someone in jail if they had that. And to see it go from that to 10% of the country is on heroin, that just sucks. That absolutely sucks. It is really one of the most beautiful places on the planet, and it just shows you that, heroin's real. Right? It's what would inspire people that live in such a beautiful place to then want to take heroin, that would want to take drugs? You would think that if you're in such a beautiful place, that's the last thing you need is taking a heavy drug. I don't know, but and I don't know a solution for this, but it just doesn't sound good. It's very, very sad. Very sad. Man, I wish I had something good to say about the Seychelles. other than I loved living there. Probably won't be going back. At least not if they have such a rampant heroin problem. 10%, that's massive. That's massive. So let's get to a more positive story, shall we? And that is about Swiss chocolate. All right, Matterhorn, no more. Toblerone changed designs under Swissness rules. Okay, Swissness. Well, the Matterhorn image on Toblerone. Here we go. Toblerone. You can see the Matterhorn image is right there to the left of the T. That's the top of the mountain, the Matterhorn, which is a mountain in Switzerland. It's also a Disney ride that you may know it from. But anyway, the Matterhorn image on Toblerone packaging is going to be replaced with a more generic Alpine summit due to marketing restrictions relating to the use of Swiss iconography. The move follows a relocation of some of the chocolate bar's production outside of Switzerland. So Toblerone packaging will now read established in Switzerland rather than of Switzerland. The Swissness legislation introduced in 2017 restricts the use of the national flag's white cross on a red background, as well as other indicators of Swiss provenance in foodstuffs, industrial products, and services. The required quota for foodstuffs to market themselves as made in Switzerland is 80% of the raw ingredients sourced from the country, and the majority of processing taking place there. So Toblerone is moving some of their facilities outside of Switzerland, so they may no longer have the Matterhorn symbol on their packaging, because that is the Swiss want to protect their identity. It turns out that often Swiss, if something is labeled as from Switzerland, it can command more, like 20% more than a product that does not say from Switzerland. So that's one of the reasons for it. Just on a side note, I know that there was just something that happened in the U.S. where they said that Gruyere cheese, that can be general and it can be made in America, even though it is a Swiss name, a Swiss place. But the U.S. court has decided that it can be used for any cheese in that style. So often countries will have these conflicts over how to label country of origin and things like that. Apparently Gruyere cheese now can be made anywhere. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's from Switzerland. But over in Switzerland, they take this stuff seriously. They've taken the Matterhorn off of the Toblerone packaging. Now, I did want to give you a little good news before I roll out of here. The good news for today is that there's been a lot of rain recently, and you need to look on the brighter side of things, find the silver lining, if you will. But with all of this rain, it turns out now there's a lot of mushrooms that are popping up. Have you ever been mushroom hunting? I have. I've got some great spots here in Oregon. I want to go out and do some mushroom hunting. But I'm trying to put some positive news on the places, such as in California, that have had so much rain. It turns out that right now the mushrooms are popping up everywhere. And you've got a great opportunity to go out and have some fun, get some mushrooms. That's all I have for you today. I appreciate everyone joining me. I keep asking, I'm going to have to change this from 50 likes to 25, what? Because I appreciate you all so much, and I know you're doing all that you can to help my show. And so that's not on you anymore. It's on me. I have to do something to advance the show because I know that the people that are watching me are doing all that they can. You're hitting the like button. You're sharing the show with someone if you can think of someone that might like the show. I know you all are doing that. If you can, I appreciate that so much. And so now it's on me. I've got to do something to grow the show. So we'll be seeing that. But I will address your comments in the after show. Hope you all have a beautiful day. Until then, peace. Hey, yes, remember, like, etc. Okay, hit that like button. I appreciate that. Over on Rumble, I did want to say what's up to Duggo. Duggo is always saying hello over on Rumble. I like Rumble. I think it's a good platform. The one thing that Rumble doesn't have, though, although there's not a whole lot of exception with my channel on YouTube, it doesn't really recommend people. So, like, for example, yesterday I was watching Russell Brand on Rumble, and then when it was over, it only recommended other Russell Brand videos to me. It didn't mention, it didn't say, oh, here's somebody else who's kind of like Russell Brand who you might like. No, all it did was offer me the same content that I was already getting. And so it makes it tough to grow on a platform that you don't get recommended to anyone. It's really tough on YouTube because they're not recommending me to anyone. And Rumble kind of has the same thing. I don't think that they're intentionally trying to hide people. I just don't think that they have an algorithm set up to recommend new content to people. Not very much. Not very much. Gonzo the Good did hit me up with a tip over on Rumble. I appreciate you, Gonzo the Good. Hashtag not all, Gonzo says. AIU, that's Atheism is Unstoppable, over on Censored TV, sells shirts saying not all. Yeah, I think it's a great hashtag not all t-shirt. If I were more of a t-shirt guy, I might get that t-shirt. Glad I could catch the live stream today. I'm glad you could catch the live stream too, Gonzo the Good. AIU has lots of fun merchandise, and yeah, he does have a hashtag not all that is pretty funny. Pretty funny. Let's see. And okay. And lastly, over here on YouTube, Apothecary John, fire and coffee in the chat, love it. We got Miranda with the tiki mask, love it. Here we go. Amanda Vogelbaum, I think this is a box with something in it. I don't have my reading glasses, and I don't know that emoji. I'll have to check it out afterwards. At least that's what I heard. That's what Tobias said. Lucid Moments of Reality. I'm late, I'm here. Well, I'm glad you're here. That's awesome. People will still call me Toblerone. Oh, people will still call me Toblerone. That was Tobias is here. Toblerone is actually, boy, it's a great treat, isn't Toblerone? I think it's a one of these portmanteaus of the guy's name who started it. I think it was Tobel, and then there, something Oblerone or something. I forget. I think it's an Italian word. There we go. I started sharing something, and then I remembered that I didn't know what I was talking about. That happens. Italy does the same with San Marzano tomatoes and Swiss do with chocolates. Yeah, it's kind of like with champagne. It has to come from the Champagne region of France. champagne type drinks here in the U.S. They're called sparkling wines. So you can't technically call them champagne or champers, as lots of wine moms like to do. Love the show. Keep going, and it'll pick up during the election. I think it will pick up. We'll see. Tom, it's a cat. Okay. It's a cat coming out of a box. I like it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate that. Yeah, it'll pick up. This is Jackson Hunkle. That's funny. Yeah, I think it'll pick up. I don't have a whole lot today. That's all I got. I just wanted to tell you that I appreciate you for watching this. I know that you're doing all you can to help me. It means more than you think. And now it's on me. Now it's on me to make the show better and to grow the show. So that's what we can do. Y'all have a beautiful day. And I will be back tomorrow with some more news and some good news as well. So until then, have an awesome day. Peace.